Welcome, everybody. Hello, this is Neil with Portal to Ascension. How's it going, everybody? Great to be here with you today. This is the Disclosure Agenda, and welcome to our first episode on this in this series right here, the Disclosure Agenda. And it's going to be live on all of our platforms every Tuesday for at least 1 month, which will be 4 weeks, but maybe all the way until July. And the intention of this event, this series right here, is to not only explore, the concept of interdimensionals and extra dimensionals and get really into the spirituality and consciousness of what it means to have, beings from other planets here, but specifically, we're going to go deep into the whole disclosure agenda. And I'm calling this show here Disclosure Agenda because it's about these specific agendas and these narratives that are coming forward from the mainstream when it comes to the mainstream media, when it comes to the Pentagon, the government, the fact that UFOs is a hot topic on the Senate right now. It's one of the hottest topics out there. So we're going to explore and examine what's going on here and keep an open mind, but also spend our time putting energy into the historical context of how we got to here, because looking at how we evolved into this place right now on all the key players kind of gives us an idea of where they might be heading with this disclosure agenda, so that we can put out something that is completely promoting the positivity and the upliftment of humanity within this whole arena of disclosure that's going on right now. We're going to get into that in a little bit. But here on my first episode, I have my good friend from Watchers Talk TV. So let's go ahead and bring you on, Omar. I want to introduce everybody to Omar. Most of you probably have seen him or heard of him before. And he's going to be my co-host today on this episode. And we're going to get into a discussion about, the times and what's going on right now. So, hey, brother.
Hey, what's up, brother? Thanks for having me on. It's a great privilege to be on the very first episode. Let's drop some knowledge out there, man. And like you said, we have to understand how this story came about and how it developed in order for us to be where we are today. And we're going to dig into a lot of stuff here today, but not only today, but in the coming months as well. I'm sure you're going to bring on a lot of experts and dig right into this and figure out what's exactly going on, because we know we can't trust the government for disclosure, because that's really a double think. So really the only thing that's left to do is for us, and people like yourselves as well connected, to have that people's disclosure. So I'm happy to be part of this. It's a great privilege.
Yes, exactly, bro. And we've been waiting for so long. The whole concept of disclosure. A lot of people are jaded now from even hearing that term because they've heard it so much. Like, when is disclosure going to happen? Within the community and people that I've worked with, there is kind of split. Some people just say, "Why do you keep asking when disclosures happen? Disclosures already happened," right? Others are saying like, "Well, no, disclosure won't happen until it's like accepted and said and owned by like the leaders of countries, and they come out and they openly say that we are being visited and these crafts, we don't know where they're from," which is kind of like what it seems like is occurring right now. But really, before we get into this, is kind of have to look at the history, right, of what disclosure is. And again, the intention of this show is to discuss and have open ideas as to what may be going on, and also get direct feedback from the audience, because we're live today. So hello and welcome to everybody joining us live right now. We're actually going to be, and I'll show you in just a moment, we're putting out all of our UFO ET related content that Portal to Ascension has accumulated in the last like 10 years over the next 30 days on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/portal to ascension. So every day there's something epic and new that is like really groundbreaking, from the experiencer to the UFOs to spirituality of extraterrestrials. But every Tuesday, we're going to come with a show live. And not only is it for us to have these conversations in real time and what's going on in this moment, but it's also to get interaction from the audience so we can see how you're feeling about it. And because we're only exploring the facts right now here together, right? And we all have our own perspective, but it'll be interesting to see how the worldwide and the global community is responding and what they think is happening right now. Right, Omar?
Yeah, exactly. And I think another important facet of this whole thing is to really understand the word disclosure, right? Are we looking for like a yes son answer from Big Brother, like its approval that UFOs are real and we have contact, or do we really dig into the word in itself, disclosure, and explore what that really means?
Mm-hmm.
Because for myself, UFOs and aliens are just a very small aspect of the disclosure package in general, and I think people tend to forget, because of the fact that they've heard disclosure, disclosure, disclosure over the past several years, is that they become desensitized to the idea, and they think that disclosure only means to UFOs and aliens, but it's much, much, much more than that. It's about sound healing and
Yes.
the plant medicine and our ancient history. So we should really explore all aspects of this word disclosure and really define
Mm-hmm.
what it is that we're looking for, either from the authorities or from Big Brother or even from ourselves when it comes to the disclosure package, right? What should we include in that will help people on their day-to-day
That's
life?
awesome.
Like, if let's say, some president steps up to the podium and says, yes, there's aliens and there are UFOs and we're in contact with them. Okay, well, that's fine and dandy. Now I know that I'm not alone like I've always known, but how is that going to help me today? How is that going to help
Mm-hmm.
me tomorrow? Right. But if I have someone telling me about plant medicine or, how to, use telepathy or astral travel,
Yes.
then I'm able to use those skills in my day-to-day life. And that to me is disclosure. Right. And then we should explore more of that.
Oh yeah, I like that. And that's why I've always liked the term full disclosure, because it means more than just UFOs, right? Full
Yeah.
disclosure. So it's the disclosure of, and I like to say this on Portal to Ascension, for example, where we are dedicated to disclosure, disclosure of your divine potential, your unlimited human potential, disclosure of your true ancient history, where you came from, a galactic history, disclosure of tools that you can empower yourself with. So it's really a disclosure of everything, and it's full disclosure. UFO disclosure is only one facet, and that's been focusing on pretty much the mainstream narrative of the nuts and bolts, and hasn't always included the whole concept of vibration, frequency, and spirituality. Because when it comes to the whole question of UFOs and who are these beings and why they have this advanced technology that can bend space time and manipulate matter and all this stuff, is because there's some advanced spiritual science basically involved there. There's an understanding of the realm of frequency that we're only just now theorizing about. And a great example is, Luis Elizondo, the A-tip guy. He was on 60 Minutes not too long ago, and they asked him, they said, why, like, basically, why do they think this is a threat? Because they're putting this whole narrative out as a threat. So he said that these craft aren't like doing the impossible. What they're doing is stuff that we're only knowing exists in theory, but we know it exists, but we're seeing an actual practical manifestation of all the things that we're coming up in theory right now. Right. So it's like they understand that, whoa, all this stuff, like we're um the what's it called, the double slit experiment, all these experiments we're doing that's making us blow our minds and saying, well, that's interesting, the subatomic world doesn't act like the Newtonian physical world, what's going on here? All of
Mhm.
a sudden we're seeing actual craft doing this, and that's got them not only concerned and worried, but also speculating, how could any single government have this technology at all?
I don't think our governments have that technology, and if they do, it would be a very small aspect of, very small aspect of understanding
Yeah.
that technology. Like you said, it's very spiritual, and humanity, and it's, the humanity in itself is very spiritual, but the leaders that are leading, these governments are not very spiritual, and I don't think that they would really understand this type of technology, never mind, attempting to even use it.
And here's another great example. I don't know if you saw Neil deGrasse Tyson on Joe Rogan the other day, like a week ago, right?
No, I didn't.
And he's like a huge skeptic. He's mainstream parrot, and basically, anything that you put out there, ET, UFO, he just tries to debunk, right? Doesn't even
Yeah.
give it the time of day. He even said to Joe Rogan, he started laughing at Joe and started saying, think of the hubris to think that we're so special that ETs would actually care about us. And then Joe Rogan's like, well, I don't like that argument because I think we're really special. Look at the way we are. Look at the way we interact with the environment. Look at the fact that we decide to wear clothes to keep warm and all these different things that make us very unique. But he's such a huge skeptic of UFOs that it completely put it down without giving any credible look at it at all, and said, why isn't it? This is what he said. He said last time and this time, if you have all these UFOs that are coming everywhere, and there's all these abductions that have occurred, and all these sightings that are getting reported, why aren't there really good camera footage of it? Right? That's what he said. Joe Rogan didn't have really a full answer for him, but he says, there is enough footage because obviously this footage being leaked right now, right? But what I would have said is it's a frequency game. These things vibrate at frequencies where you can't perceive them. They
That's
don't want to
right.
be seen. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there is the disconnect from the spirituality of it all. They're thinking nuts and bolts. They're not thinking vibration and frequency.
Yeah, and we have evidence of that with the, UFOs are more of a tailor-made subconscious experience for each individual, like that school, Ariel school in Africa, where those 50, 60 children saw the UFO land in the field, and then these kids went up to see what it was, and then afterwards, when researchers came along and asked these kids to draw the images of what they saw, almost all of them drew something different. ETs looked different, the
Wow.
craft looked different. So at that time I realized that UFOs are really tailor-made to your level of consciousness, to your level of awareness. If you're low vibratory and ignorant to the fact, then you're not going to see anything, because you can see only in front of your nose, and you can't see anything beyond that. So I think the UFOs that people are interacting with, either they have a higher state of consciousness and they're aware, or there's something with those individuals, like part of a hybrid program that they've been involved in for so many thousands of years now, and that's how they're interacting. But guys like Tyson, it's fear talking, right? That's all it is, because his game is based on the fact that we're alone and by ourselves all these years, and if that narrative was to change, then his ego would be bruised, and it would be sore, right? Because he's been parroting this one thing all these years, and then suddenly he's forced to say something different, and you can totally see the ego in the man too, right? But
yeah, and you can see the nonsensical, irrational responses that
yeah,
you would think someone of great science and one of the supposedly greatest minds in the world right now, that's why they put him out there as a front man for all these things, would give it some actual rational thought and look at it. But these individuals won't even look at the videos. Even Elon Musk, right? In private, he might be into UFOs, a hardcore, but when he said pretty much the same thing on Joe Rogan's show, and he doesn't even look or give the time of day to the videos. So he's just saying this with complete lack of understanding, and he acted like he's never even seen or heard about this or knows about the release. So one, he's probably lying. He probably knows something going on.
yeah,
But
yeah.
on the other level, the fact that they want to show that because they know they're influencers and they're really well known and they're really popular people and people follow their trends. So by them putting this information out, that just still means that they want the masses and the other people that listen to them to believe that. And then that gets
Yeah,
into the question why.
yeah, it's a two-way story that's going on, because in public they, at the end they are puppets too, right? And at the end of the day, in the public face, they have to maintain this one particular story, but in behind that, the guy wants to go to Mars, man. He must think that there's something happening in Mars. He owns a space company shooting rockets out into space, so he has to have some awareness and some sort of knowledge on the UFOs, and the satellites this guy has out in space, and definitely he has footage and he knows about it, and I bet you he's right into this kind of stuff. But publicly, in order to maybe keep his finances or keep his business, whatever the case may be, right? He has to maintain this front. And money usually is a pretty big motivator in all cases, right?
Right, maintaining your level of wealth. really.
Yeah,
That can be
exactly.
taken from you in any moment. And he's
Look what
he's
happened to Bill Gates. He just lost half his wealth.
yeah, I know, right? That's a whole other rabbit hole to go down. So, okay, let's go ahead and do this. I'm gonna share some articles and let's comment on these articles, and we can go down historical context as we're doing it. And I want to just say hi to everybody joining in right now that's just started joining us in the last few minutes. This is the Disclosure Agenda show. We're going to be going live for 1 to 2 months, and then after this show, every Tuesday is going to be a True World History Ancient Origins show. So YouTube on all the platforms we're on right now, we're going to keep going on like that. If you're on our podcast on Portal to Ascension Radio, you can go to youtube.com/Portal to Ascension to watch this, or if you're on Facebook or anything else. And we're just going to keep going with different shows. Disclosure is the theme right now. Want to put out a lot of great content. You're going to see in a little bit here when I screen share with you that we have all this amazing benevolent ET UFO information going out on multiple platforms over the next 30 days. And the reason for that is to kind of balance out with this whole threat UAP agenda with some positivity. And as people start waking up to this information even more and more, hopefully they'll find our channel and they'll be able to be inspired by some information rather than down what seems to be a place of fear that a lot of these governing agencies are trying to take us down. Right. So next week we're going to have on Alan Steinfeld, and the week after that will be Grant Cameron, and then I'll announce the other people from there. But let's go ahead and share some articles right now and get into some of this relevant recent content. All right, so let's talk about this one first, Omar. Experts weigh in on Pentagon UFO report, right? So the UFO report technically isn't fully out yet. They still have the 25th to release more information, but a lot of agencies are reporting on it as if they did come out with it. And what it's saying is the vast majority of examined incidents were not caused by U.S. advanced technology programs, the forthcoming report concludes. So that's part of it. And I'm going to have you.
Yeah, I just want to quickly just say,
Yeah.
Neil, back to the headline, right? And, the first word, experts, right? I want to know who these experts are because, they've been denying all these years. And then suddenly we have these experts and they never tell us who these experts really are, right?
Yes.
So, we have to, really take it with a grain of salt for me, as soon as I see that expert
100%.
how come I don't see Grant Cameron in that article, right? Grant
Yeah.
Cameron is an expert, right? For me, that's what comes to mind, right? Maybe it's their experts on the narrative that they want to give us, but sorry, man. Let's go
No,
forward.
sorry. Thank you for sharing that. And that let's go down that detour for a second because they I watched a show called The Hill. They've gone independent now because they're even more independent than the people that they're working for before.
The
And
Hill, I watched them.
yeah, so now they're on have their own thing called Breaking Points, where it's completely independent. They can do whatever they want. But they did this whole expose on how they track experts because they used to work for MSNBC and the other one worked for a conservative network. And you basically there's no credentials required to be an expert, nothing
Oh.
at all. There is no check for it. They gave multiple examples of who they called on to be experts, and a lot of times it's people that are like somebody who's an expert in the stock market. What do you think about this? Oh, you're an expert, so you've weighed in on the Pentagon UFO report. That's how
Really?
it is, dude. 100% vetted
Oh
out
my
information right
God.
there. Okay, so there are no experts. That's just what's said for clickbait, so you get to go to the
Yeah,
article,
so I'm
right?
glad that my red flags go up every time I see a word
Yeah.
like experts. It's like, okay, now
So
I know.
tell me your thoughts. Tell me your thoughts on this, right? So this article says vast majority of examined incidents were not caused by U.S. advanced technology programs, and then this one, which was the main article that came out, government UFO report, no evidence of alien spacecraft, but can't rule it out.
Well, it kind of contradicts itself from the top comment to this one, right? Over here, they're saying that there's no alien evidence, but up top, they're saying that it's no advanced U.S. technology.
Yeah.
And U.S. is the most advanced in the world. So, if it's not U.S.,
Right.
then what are we dealing with, right? We know it's not Russians or the French or the Chinese because America is far more advanced than that.
Yeah, and the New York, I think it was the New York Times. I don't think it was the Post. They're the ones that came out with the first article that basically said, this whole headline here, no evidence of alien spacecraft, but can't rule it out. But first, it was no evidence of alien spacecraft. That was it. Then they had to update and add this at a later time. right? So what happened there, we pretty much saw what they did was they were trying to detour the conversation to it not being aliens, because a lot of people right now, millions of more people in the last year have awoken up to this. Look at the videos on mainstream YouTube channels, millions of views. They're not all disclosure activists, right? Most of them just regular people watching the news. So all these people are opening up to it. And the question is, are these alien? They say that no government can have any advanced technology like this. So the one thing that they didn't speak about here was another country having it. However, that's been eradicated as well, because the reports show that this has been happening for decades,
Yeah, a few
right?
days ago, there was a report that came out. It was breaking by New York Times, and in the report, they were saying that that 80%, probably 80% of observed so-called UFOs or UAPs are probably Russian and Chinese, and then the other 10% or 15% they couldn't rule out. They weren't sure what it was, right? That's what they were saying
Hmm.
then. And then since then, they've upgraded to this. And
Yes.
I'm interested to see what is next. I don't know what they're afraid of, Neil. Like, what if the world finds out that there are aliens and we're not alone in the universe and there's
Yeah.
intelligent life? Like, what is the big deal? Right? Like,
Right.
why
Right.
are, like, I don't see why there's such a big deal behind keeping them hidden and having
Yeah.
this, you know, dark veil around the entire subject. It's if we're not alone, we're alone. People can handle it,
Yes. Yes.
right? We're
Yes.
smart people, we're intelligent people, and all of us in every single household right across the world. You know, not one person is no smarter than the next person if they found out that there was an extraterrestrial life in the world, and they wouldn't panic, right? So
Well, I feel that the panic that may come from that, religion may shift, people's belief system might change, but I don't think it's any worse than the panic that happens right now from just the fact that we live on this earth with all this crazy shit going on. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, we got all, like, even the last year, I don't think the panic that people have with the fear that they experience on a day-to-day basis is going to be trumped by the fear now that there's ETs out there, especially
Personally,
if
I
we're given
think
the right information.
Yeah, personally, I think people will be more relieved to know that there's an advanced civilization out there, and
Hmm.
finally somebody might come down here and help us out with energy and technology, with medicine, and you know, like all this kind of stuff. I think
Yeah.
people would be more relieved to know that there is somebody out there instead of, you know, and we've seen it
We're
from
not
religion
alone,
too.
dude. Like, yes, if
Yeah,
everybody could realize we're not alone in the
yeah.
universe, oh my God.
We've seen it in religions too, where, you know, we've had religious leaders, people who are very religious. They believe in UFOs and aliens, and they've always said that, you know, knowing and understanding that there's UFOs and aliens out there has never deterred me from my faith. We see that from, you know, you did an interview with Paul Wallace there not long ago, and I think you asked him a similar question along that line, and his answer was the same, that, you know, my faith has actually gotten stronger than you know, deteriorating. So I think everyone would respond in such a manner. And man, I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know what the big deal is. These lies, lies,
I
lies.
feel that need to have that full disclosure, that a lot of people will accept it. I think there will be some people that won't, but that's just part of the growing pains. And we're going to have, because why live a lie of complete ignorance of our place in the universe when you can be introduced to the truth, and it might take your lifetime, but then pretty soon it's going to be normal for
Yeah.
us and for others. So we can continue living this delusion that we're pretty much in right now. Um, Even science has gone into a way where science is about, this is what we know, therefore this is true, instead of this is what we know but we keep learning new stuff, what else could be true,
Hmm.
you know? So we've created all these roadblocks that have created stagnancy, and even the way our political structure is no longer works for this advanced technological age, because each party that goes in just pushes the other one back, just undoes what the other one does, and all the progress um, is happening like behind closed doors, and they're getting all the benefits for it from these elite, while we're just keep going back on our legislations because we're just fighting with each other, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Division, create division.
Hmm.
Maybe it
So
needs to start at the grassroots level, where, you know, when you're electing your politician in your local riding, that one of the mandates from the public is that, you know, you tell us, you know, vital information that's to come, and without that, you know, agreement, we're not going to elect you. And if you
Yeah.
have the entire governmental structure that's elected behalf of the people, where they want the disclosure, or they want UFO information, or they want whatever it is that we want, if that's the idea by everybody, then I think it's more likely to succeed than having this continuous division amongst ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. And to really go deeper into this, let's talk about the historical context, really, about just at least maybe like the last decade, and we'll go back even to the 40s, right? So there's been sightings, right, registered for decades and decades, even into the 1800s. There's documents and sightings, and even a case of an alien body that was buried in late 1800s in Texas, and it was in the newspaper and all that. So this has been happening for quite some time. In the 50s and the 60s, soon after World War II, after the nuclear explosions, all of a sudden, an increase in UFO sightings and abductions occurred. It seems from whistleblowers and from other researchers that these were both government abductions and also ET abductions, because as soon as we tapped into nuclear energy and created this ripple out into the universe, a call went out and a big beacon, basically a lighthouse, went out to the whole entire ocean of the galaxy, informing them that we have now stepped into the atomic age, in which is an age now we can play with interdimensional quantum realities. And because we can do that, they had a more invested interest in not only us as a species on this earth, but also protecting themselves and other races from our influence, since we're at such a we've been at such a low level of consciousness, right? So that's just like the spiritual component. But let's fast forward all these sightings in the 50s and 60s. Project Blue Book came about. Alan Hynek, Paul Hynek, his son, was on our event last just
Mhm.
a couple of months ago, and he starts doing research. And through their research on trying to debunk these sightings, Alan Hynek decides that this is real. The researchers for the government, Project Blue Book, went out to debunk it. Nobody wanted to hear that this was real, but they couldn't deny the evidence that something was going on. Then Project Blue Book gets canceled. So they say, because what normally happens is it goes black budget after that. So it gets canceled. Now we're in the 2000s here, and a few years ago, around 4 or 5 years ago, all of a sudden there's a release that there was this program that started in 2008 called ATIP, which is the Advanced Aerial Threat Program or something like that. I forget the exact
I
name.
think that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that there was, and this guy called Luis Elizondo was behind it, and Tom DeLonge, the ex-singer of Blink 182, has been working with these guys for ages, and are now creating this organization to bring out this information and try to figure out what these crafts are. No talk about aliens at this point, only about these craft. We need to figure it out. We can use this technology, right? This is around 5 years ago. After that, Hillary Clinton comes on to Jimmy Kimmel, says it's called UAP. Then we have the rebranding, kind of started with Hillary Clinton, but around that time, off the word UFO to UAP, because UFO had been ridiculed for so long in the mainstream
Hmm.
that if you would watch a news show on it, they would have little sounds, do 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 do, or the little green men on the show. But all of a sudden, when Hillary Clinton was on Jimmy Kimmel around the same time, there was a green light when Tom DeLonge came out with everybody that no longer have to ridicule the UFO story. Call it UAP. Help us rebrand this thing. New York Times was the first one to put it out there. Every news station took the exact same wording, exact same article, even competing news stations, and then they put it out there that there was this program. And then from there, it's just been a ripple effect after that, drop after drop after drop, all these conflicting agendas, manipulation in the media. And now we are at modern time right now, where now everybody is finally aware of it within Congress and Senate, and they're asking for some sort of release to occur, some sort of disclosure.
Nice wrap up on that. Let's talk about one of the major sightings that happened in the United States. I think it was in the 80s in LA when they started shooting at the UFO. You remember that one?
Yep.
Right. There's that major one there, and then we got the Phoenix Lights. Same thing. Mega UFO. So, I totally agree with the point that um, the word UFO, because of the stigma that's being attached to it, no one's going to take it serious. And
Yeah.
this rebranding. I don't know, Neil. This rebranding that they're trying to do, they're still attaching. People still remember the UFO, right? So regardless of what you call it, every time you say that, people are just always going to go back to the UFO,
Yes.
UFO,
I
UFO.
don't think their branding is working out that well.
No, I don't think it's going to work at all, because I think people are accustomed to the UFO
Yeah,
and
they
they
like
want to
it.
know if the UFOs are true or not, right? Not
Yeah, yeah,
UAPs or anything like that. I think I read a story, what was it, like last year in France, that they had captured some sort of alien vehicles,
yeah.
alien technology, alien vehicles. We're well into it.
Exactly. So when this report comes out, I mean, even if the report comes out with all this stuff redacted, and even if the report comes out with hardly any evidence, just the stuff that they've released in the last 6 months, let alone the last 10 years, that is already available on the websites. Type in UFO NSA, type in UFO CIA, type in UFO FBI. It'll take you to all of their websites with their content. Go through some of those articles there. Go through some of those things. They're insane. There's like one craft that was found in like in 1954. Some guy was hiking in upland New York, and all of a sudden this like amazing craft was there, and with all these etchings that were like some foreign language from off planet was on it. These are the reports. This is what's in the reports that is there.
There's
So
there's a
you,
guy in Winnipeg, same thing in the 60s.
mhm,
Same thing. He was out hiking or something, and suddenly this UFO showed up and it burnt him. He went to go and touch it, and when it went to go lift off, it burnt him in the chest and left all these different. People call it a design, right? But when you look at it, it almost had the sacred geometry,
mhm.
patterns to it, right? So I found that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, exactly. So there's so much evidence out there ready to go and ready to be read that you just read it and you're like, okay, this isn't Chinese, Russian. This isn't US. I mean, unless the ET comes out of the craft and says, hey, I'm from off planet, you can even doubt that it's ET, right? But
Yeah,
you can say that it's nothing that you can ever be aware of.
yeah, I gotta say, Neil, that the way our society is, the way our reality is, fixed. It's like our reality is like really static, right? 9 to 5,
Yeah.
TV, supper, sleep, wake up, weekend. You do your weekend thing, and then it's very static, and people have this routine, and they've had all these ideas interjected into their minds over the years, and the reality is that people are struggling and they're fighting, they want to survive. Some people, they just want more and more and more, so they're focused on that. And for me, I don't think there's anything the government can say or the government can do that's going to retract people from this false reality that we're currently trapped in, to even acknowledge the fact that ETs are out there. Like you said, it would have to be like a major, major, major event where ET, like literally, has to land at Buckingham Palace or
Mhm.
at White House and get out and greet the Queen or the president. And beyond that, I
Yeah.
just don't think people have the mindset to, because every time they hear aliens or UAPs or UFOs, because they've had that connected now, every time they hear that or see that on TV or on their screens, they're passing it by and they're ignoring it.
Yeah.
Right? It's only really people like ourselves and the people that are starting to wake up because of this whole mess in the last year that are asking questions, are becoming aware of it. But overall, that's like a very small percentage of human civilization. And so that's why it's even more important to do shows like this, to plant
Yeah.
those seeds in those people's minds, this very small community, and expand on that to the rest of the world. Like, we really have to find a different approach almost, because this government thing ain't working.
Yeah.
It's never going to work. It's up to us, Neil. It's up to you.
Yeah. It's
You
up
have
to
the
us.
biggest platform. It really is. You'll be the
So I
pioneer.
feel a lot of people are waking up to this now for sure. New people are coming to it, and but then they only have half. They only have not even half the picture. Only a very small percentage of the picture, because it's just what's being told to them. And if the first thing you hear about UFOs is it could be a threat to our airspace, what's the first thing you're going to think of? That's what you're going to think of. That's the foundation you're going to base your whole entire
You go back to
UFO
the
belief system
movies.
on. right?
Right. You go to
So
Independence Day, things like that is in your
exactly.
mind, right?
That's why putting some positive information, because
Yeah.
the rabbit hole goes deeper than most realize. And as one Pentagon official said, that when we find out about the UFO report, he said this a few months ago, that you're going to realize there's much more happening than we even could even imagine. Those are his own
Yeah.
words, right? So I'm going to read this here. And let's talk about this. And we got like 15 more minutes. And I want to talk about Obama and what he said, and then show you guys a couple of events. So what we can expect for the Pentagon's UFO report, right, on NY Magazine here. And we're going to skim over this a little bit. But of course, there was the $2.3 billion relief package. The UFO thing was put in there. Why was it happening? Well, isn't it interesting that the New York Mag themselves says, the report, which comes after a slow 4-year drip, parentheses disclosure, of reporting and government admissions of UFO sightings. Yes, there has been a drip. Could be delivered to Congress any day now. Okay. And what does an early report look at? So on June 3rd, the New York Times reported that senior administration officials who were briefed on a UAP report have found no evidence that objects seen by Navy pilots over the past decade are not of this earth. Nevertheless, the Times states intelligence officials still cannot explain the usual movements. So what could the report contain? The legislation passed in December 2020 stipulates that the report must include a detailed analysis of unidentified aerial phenomena data and intelligence collected by the Office of Naval Intelligence, the FBI, and the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force. This is a program with DoD, so this is multiple different places. The FBI as well, which already released their information, and the Naval Intelligence, because the footage is coming out of the Navy. It goes on to call for a detailed description of interagency process for how the data was collected. Okay, you want to comment on that before I jump to the next section here?
No, no, go ahead. Keep going.
Okay, so why is this coming out now, right? So let's read this part first. If the objects are, let's say, next generation planes or drones from China, it would certainly validate those who push for the report's release and modernizing the government's approach to UFOs, even if that conclusion is more boring than the possibility of the presence beyond our solar system. You know how, lack of a better term, ignorant that paragraph
Yeah.
is? Look. If objects are, let's say, next generation planes or drones, it will certainly validate those who push for this report. So if it's not planes or drones from China, it doesn't validate the report, because the report's probably for aliens, and if it's alien life, we should not give a crap about it. Like, doesn't
Also
make any sense.
up earlier where they're saying that they can't explain the movements. They really think that we're going to buy that because of the fact that they have intelligence on every single aircraft on this planet. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter which army it is, doesn't matter which air force, which country it is. So if they know that none of the other countries have aircraft that move like UFOs do, then there is only one answer that's left. That's that those aircraft or those UFOs that they're seeing are not terrestrial.
Yeah. And if it was that another country had these crafts, right? Even though there's so much evidence, the fact that this has been happening for decades, and that means they would have that technology back then we're completely screwed, right? Because we don't have that technology and they've won. So it's like, no matter which way they try to put this out, the end result is going to be a profound one.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So this is how it basically got, why this is coming out now. Over the next few years, lawmakers and defense officials began to take interest as more Navy pilots shared their accounts of frequent run-ins with UFOs, and several videos of encounters were released, as most of us know here. By June 2019, senators were reportedly coming out of the woodwork to be briefed on the phenomena, which resulted in a vote by the Senate Intelligence Committee in June 2020 that the first green lit the idea for the UFO report, a provision which set the 6-month timer, bringing us up to today.
Now, from what I've heard, these videos that are being released, that the Pentagon themselves haven't released these videos, that it was leaked by the pilots, and the Pentagon is reluctantly supporting it and commenting on it and trying to cover it up kind of deal, right? So,
great point.
And also another question is that why are these videos always in night vision or something
Infrared.
other than your normal HD camera, because
Yeah.
we know that these planes have them. So why are these footages that are always coming out always in night vision? And there's another channel that I came across, Neil. Maybe you want to check him out. He's called Thunderfoot, and he does the videos, infrared videos on military fighter jets. And what
Oh,
he
I've seen it.
noticed,
I've seen it.
yeah, what he noticed, he showed the UFO that these guys are releasing next to I think, a F-16 fighter,
Yeah, I saw that one.
and both of them look identical, right there. So I'm not quite sure what to think now
Yeah.
after seeing that.
So what are they putting out there? Is it like deception within deception within deception?
Yeah,
So many inception versions of confusion that they've completely thrown us off the reality of what's going on, and thrown maybe some truth with not some truth, and maybe a few real craft with not some real craft. Because I
yeah,
did see those, and they're, we're just taking their word on the sensors and how much it's doing, because no one's really testing it. That they're coming out with the all of the evidence and saying, well, this is what it is. And also, are they in this together? Is the Pentagon like, the Pentagon can't be directly connected to it, so they can say it's got leaked, and then they can just confirm it, but they're in bed with whoever's doing this.
hmm,
And which is implied by some individuals that is the case. Or is it that these individuals just are whistleblowers, like they want to be looked at, and they came out with this information, and now the Pentagon is like, oh yeah, oh, whoops, yeah, that is us. It came out. We're just going to say it's okay, and that it is our footage, and we're not going to hold the person who took it out accountable for leaking these documents, right?
well, if we
And,
if we sorry, go ahead.
no, I was going to say, and don't forget, some of these documents are already declassified, so you can't really get in trouble for the declassified documents.
If we look at the video, let's say just as an example from Thunderfoot, and say to ourselves, okay, if this is what that's happening, and then you listen to the narrative of the footage that's coming out of the Pentagon or from these pilots, then that sounds like it's theatrical, because they're making a hype and they're saying, hey, look at that thing, look how fast it's going. So what that shows me, that it was pre-written, the script was pre-written, and these guys were supposed to do this when they were up there, and then they can release that video as the real thing that these guys came across. So like I said, there's that confusion there now, right? Because the theatrical aspect of it. Because if it is an F-16 or an F-14, like what that one guy is saying, then we have to listen to the speech or what the pilots are saying and ask ourselves what's going on here, right? And really consider that aspect of the whole thing, because it could be deception, right? Or it could be a tidbit of truth wrapped in deception and lies.
Yep.
And like you said, they'll put out like so many of these, and then one or two times they'll show you the real thing, and then they'll say, "Oops," they'll never
Yeah.
believe you.
So it goes back to, like, basically the UFO phenomena. It has been in the conversation for a long time, but when it comes to people watching this right now, people connected to our community, UFO disclosure individuals, extraterrestrial connection, spirituality, consciousness, all that. When it comes to that, there's been a huge push from us doing these conferences,
Mhm,
these events, really big. That even when the show Ancient Aliens came out, it really started introducing a lot of people. They were one click away from just having something talk to them about aliens on TV, right? So it became more and more accepted. And I feel that even Ancient Aliens was kind of maybe placed there by some sort of elite in order to introduce people towards something that was going to eventually be disclosure, because Ancient Aliens actually shifted almost all of the episodes to complete the disclosure episodes about modern stuff as well now. Right.
mhm.
So it's almost like that they were there and planted from the beginning to
I've
do this,
thought the
to
same.
help. So what was occurring is that there was such a huge awareness of disclosure and UFOs and ETs, that seemed to be going to the mainstream, that it was inevitable that this information is going to come out, and they
Mhm,
wanted to get ahead of it. Right? It looks like that they wanted to get ahead of it. So some drip disclosure plan, whether it's multiple factions involved or whatever, seemed to have been kickstarted in order for them to get ahead of it as the ones that release this information. Plus, a lot of speakers have said, is people be really upset at the government when they realize how much they've been lied to about this phenomena, and what the presidents and the government has known for decades now. So what they needed to do is they needed to let go of all accountability, and that it was their fault at all. So now what's happened is the fall men are the FBI, the DOD, the Pentagon, uh, and But the thing is, they can't even be the fall people because the individuals that lied to us are no longer even in their positions anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So not only has the government lost and completely been like, we don't know anything. We never knew anything. Oh my God, please tell us what's going on. But they're also holding accountable people that don't even have the individuals in those departments anymore to be held accountable,
Mm-hmm.
completely releasing any chance of anybody saying you lied to us. And now they're like the saviors. Oh, thank you so much for releasing this information to us. Thank you so much for creating this program to figure out what's going on. Oh, thank you so much for protecting us
Yeah,
from this
yeah.
threat. Right?
I hear you. I hear you. When when we do make contact with ET and discover the benefits of contact, what that benefit means, and people come to find out that we can fight diseases and cancers and etc. And when they realize that their loved ones could have been saved because if this contact had been made earlier, I think they're going to be very upset and they're going to hold the governments
That's what I'm
accountable.
saying.
So
That's
regardless
exactly
if
what I
they
feel.
try to pass it off to whatever, at the end of the day, they're the ones that claim to have authority. And if they can't
Yeah.
have authority over their own agency, then tough luck. The buck stops with you, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. And that's what's up, dude. Like, because the fact is that there's a lot of sciences and technologies that were suppressed that could have led to less deaths,
mhm,
more harmonious existence, less stress and struggle,
less
right? And
wars.
obviously, we were meant to go through those for those reasons, but not everybody accepts and understands that notion. So,
Yeah.
like, so for sure that, dude, they had the technology to completely eliminate cancer cells, maybe using some advanced tech, maybe some reverse engineering stuff. Like, I've seen documents and people talk about that.
Hmm.
But so that's why they want to let go of accountability, because if they let go of the accountability, when that comes up and the technology is discovered, they're like, oh, we're discovering it now for the first time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Tricky, tricky.
let's talk about this one, and then I want to show everybody what's going
Obama.
on over the next month. So some of you may have seen Obama. Let's see if there's an image of him here. No, but Obama was on the James Corden, I forget
The
his
Late
name.
Late Show. I think,
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
it the Late Late Show?
This is a couple of weeks ago, and we work with Grant Cameron, who's going to be on in 2 weeks from now, exactly 2 weeks from now, and many other researchers that have said that a lot of people just won't accept disclosure until the president says ETs exist, UFOs are occurring, and this is happening, right? And we're not there yet because that hasn't happened, right? However, it's extremely interesting to know that the first ever president slash ex-president, the last president, has now gone onto one of the puppet shows, because that's where people go to recite puppet information and tell everybody these late shows have been completely hijacked, that and have gone out there and basically said that we don't know exactly what they are, but there's something that's air, we need to start going into it. We've had milestones of UFO releases and consciousness awakenings in the last 4 years. A few weeks ago when this happened, that was the next one. The fact that now a president and ex-president is even talking about this, whether you like him or not, just the fact that a president has now stepped into that realm of actually talking about UFOs, when the same president was actually asked before and he said he didn't know anything. But they said to him, what about ETs and alien life? And he goes, I can talk to you about that stuff on air,
Yeah.
but we don't know exactly what these craft are in the space.
Yeah. Yeah. So he knows that there's contact. Like again, we go back to the same old thing. They got to keep this public narrative, but slowly but surely, it's going to come out. And they give you like little tips, like you just said. We can't talk about that ET stuff on air, but when we're in the back having a drink, I can tell you how many we're in contact with.
Yeah, exactly.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and just like, what does that even mean? Because we already know how he's such an the way he like communicates is very methodical, right?
Yeah.
So like even saying that just like is implying something there, and it's all about the subliminal messages. Really, you got to pick up on this stuff. So let's end with this one here. Why haven't we heard from NASA this whole last 4 years, guys? Why hasn't NASA said, well, we're the people that are actually in space, let's tell you what we know about UFOs, right? Because a lot of the astronauts have said that they've seen stuff, in space. A lot of cosmonauts in Russia is pretty much, Edgar Mitchell, even, who was an astronaut, is definitely in the conscious movement. He's passed away now. So why hasn't NASA said anything about it? Well, they're finally speaking now.
Oh yeah.
new boss, right? He's not happy with the Pentagon's report. So what did he say? We'll start investigating UFOs now.
Oh, great.
You mean you have like all these HD cameras up in space looking at
Yeah,
things all the time, and you haven't been noticing things? Because I see
cutting
anomalies
off.
on their websites all the time,
Yeah,
you know?
cutting off live streams from the ISS. Everything. Every time something, strange flies by. Yeah, yeah. I'll buy that for $1, man.
Exactly. So he goes, NASA's new chief isn't satisfied with the Pentagon's inconclusive UFO report, newly installed. And it's so interesting. I think they want people to think it's already come out
Yeah.
because they keep saying it like it's not even out yet. They've only just released a bit, right? So
It's a
newly
narrative.
installed.
It's a narrative because when the actual documents comes out, it's going to be so redacted that there's going to be nothing on it. I bet you they're going to go through page through page through page, and it's all going to be blacked out with like maybe a word here and maybe a word there, and then they're going to say, well, there's the disclosure. They're going to bring their experts on, and they're going to give us this dripping that they've been giving us, and they're just going to talk about that, try to blow that out of hype, and then create a narrative around that.
Yeah.
That's what
Who
I'm
knows,
seeing.
man? I mean, like, because if you look at some of the claims about the UFOs and the governments and the ETs that the governments are involved in, and the fact that the Nordic ETs were in communication with the Navy and the Air Force had a different ET race that was giving them technology, and both of them had different advancements of technology, and like there's even a report on these to like the Air Force and the Navy meeting up at a location in space, but they didn't know each other was going to be there because they both had technology that they didn't even know that the other one had. Right? That
What?
was a report
Serious?
that came out too.
Wow,
Yeah,
crazy.
and then you look at the USO. I'll show you guys in a minute, but we're gonna have it come on our YouTube channel in a few weeks, guys. But the U.S. Navy patents for UFO technology, like, oh my god, right? Just type in YouTube after this or somewhere USO U.S. Navy UFO patents. Watch the videos on it and watch their patents. All types of amazing technology that is some reverse engineer technology that they've only been putting out in the last few years. That they're literally getting ready for an industry that is going to be using this technology. We can and they're getting ready for a complete shift in society and structure, and they're patenting everything right now so that when it occurs, they're the ones that get the money from this whole thing.
I seen a video. When was it? Last year, maybe. 6 months ago, 7 months ago, but they showed an aircraft carrier, and on that aircraft carrier, as a jet was flying by and the camera was moving over off to the side, there was one vehicle that was circular. And then when the camera panned down, I was trying to look underneath it, right? Because I was showing Amy, I was like, look at that, that kind of looks like a UFO. And then when I was trying to look underneath, right, to see the camera, see if there's any wheels that's holding up this craft, there was nothing, right? This thing looked like it was just floating there, right? Just hovering there. And I was pointing that out to Amy. I was like, look at that, honey. And I backed up a few times, trying to really register what I was seeing. And then I moved on, and then I started watching other videos, and then the other videos are trying to debunk this one particular video. And so I was like, okay, I'll find the link for you, and then I'll send you that link. You've probably already seen it, but you may not have. It's
Yeah,
going to
send
be
it over.
interesting. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is an interesting looking thing.
So bottom line is it's a very interesting time, and it's been interesting for quite some time, right? And it just keeps getting even more intricate. The drama is unfolding even more so. I'll give you one great example of some conflicting drama information. New York Times was the one that was obviously employed to come out with the first release with Tom DeLonge and the whole crew of people that he had coming out 4 or 5 years ago. And then also they wanted us to know this information. Someone wanted them to tell us. And then they're also the ones that just came out with saying that doesn't show that it's alien life. So what have they showed us there? Either some sort of person that was giving the information for them to release has changed, right? And now they're like, oh, we don't want anything to know. Or it's the same individuals, but they never wanted us to think it was aliens in the first place. Those are the only two
Yeah.
ways. Either they've changed owners, the faction has shifted and now saying no, cancel, tell people there's nothing, right? Or it's the same agenda, but they're confusing us and playing both sides, and something is going on there. And no matter which one it is, obviously something is happening. And because the fact something is happening, what we're going to see come out of this is definitely going to be groundbreaking if we spend the energy and time and it doesn't just dissipate as a news story, right?
Hmm.
Which I don't think it will at this point.
Historically, confusion's been the name of the game,
Mm-hmm.
right? In all the events, everything that's anything to do with any type of importance, it's always confusion is the biggest part I find. Is they've intertwined that in there. So this could very well be the same thing, where there is a faction change that sounds more plausible to me, where a group has changed or hijacked or whatever the case may be, the administration's changed, and
Yeah.
and there's different agendas taking place. But one thing's for sure, there is something big, big, big happening, and we've been seeing this happen since last year. And what we've
Mm-hmm.
gone through in the last year, I think, really has part to do with what's coming.
Mm-hmm.
And what's coming is it's huge, probably in the next year or so. I'm thinking
Yeah.
15, 12, 15, 18 months.
The fact is, we live in a very diverse, beautiful,
Various times.
massive universe, right? If you go up to someone right now and they tell you that chances are there's no alien life outside in the universe, that's probably not going to happen. And if it does, it's probably someone that believes that it's a holographic universe and we're just in a hologram by ourselves, right? It's either that or that. That's pretty much it right now.
Yeah,
And so it's like, just look at the reality of the fact that also we're discovering that life now may not be limited to the Goldilocks zone, right, within
yeah,
this dimension, right? And also when we're also understanding that in higher dimensions, that this is mainstream physics, that all these opposing forces like magnetism and other forces, that seemingly opposite forces, unify as one force in these higher dimensions, that only makes theorists and experts only makes only makes experts think that that if that's the case, then we have more of an ability to manipulate and control our external reality in these higher dimensions.
hmm,
So having the constructs of being on Earth, having the sun heat you up and all these things start fading away, the more you shift in these realities and dimensions. This is none of this. This might sound like some metaphysical book I'm reading to you, but this is all mainstream physics, right? So since 1921, mind you, when they first started theorizing about this. So it's like, it's a reality. What's happened is we've been in this dark age for so long in this dualistic expression, but then all of a sudden we tapped into the quantum world. When we started tapping into the quantum world, technology started going into levels that our consciousness wasn't even at yet, but we started going out into the universe on a level that our consciousness wasn't really even prepared for, and is now trying
hmm,
to really keep up with that. And since that's occurring, we're now able to start perceiving this alternate reality where we're only now scratching the surface of what it means to be UFOs around us, ETs around us. But since we're at this level of consciousness and we're on our way up to this higher level of consciousness, we're not even at a percentage really of realizing the vastness of the universe and what's really going on this planet. And so it's almost like growing pains, really. We just got to like be gentle with ourselves, and we need to not get arrogant about knowing, because there is so much more in the future for us. There's so much more evolution that's going to occur. Just to think that we're at this level now where we've figured it out, it's just going to be even more beautiful if we step back and realize what else is there to figure out, you know?
yeah, exactly. This is the end of one yuga cycle, going into a new one, and really this energy and this frequency and this contact and the awareness is just going to increase as the years flow by, as we switch into this new age. And it's kind of weird how it always goes back to that, doesn't it? We could be talking about aliens and UFOs and all of that, but
It's
at the end
all
of
in
the
it.
day, when you come back right down to the grassroots, it's always about the cycles,
It's
the
the
energetic
cycles.
cycles that your world is going through, you're going through, your
Yeah.
incarnations are going through.
You can
And
track the timeline. You could be like, oh,
yeah,
okay, it makes sense what's happening right now. This
yeah,
is where we are.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So,
Amazing, isn't
okay,
it?
let me share this with you guys now. Okay, so everybody here, if you did not hear me earlier, you are now watching the Disclosure Agenda show. That's the first episode. So welcome to the first episode. Everybody on our podcast, we're on Spotify, Amazon, iTunes, and many other platforms. Portal to Ascension Radio. please do subscribe to Portal to Ascension Radio if you can. And if you're listening to the podcast on Portal to Ascension Radio, you can come to our YouTube, youtube.com/Portal to Ascension, to watch the video if you want to kind of look at the articles here. But this is the first episode in this series. I intended to do it for 4 weeks, going until the end of this month, but it really looks like it might go till the end of July. And then after that, the show is going to change, and we're going to do an ancient civilizations, true world history exploration show. And I think Omar, which I think you're already down for sure, will probably be my co-host for most of those shows, because we're both into the ancient history on an unprecedented level, and we have great conversations about
Oh,
it.
I love it.
Yeah. So, but right now we're doing this. And the reason why we're doing this is we want to expose some truths. We want to have some discussions. We want to read some comments from you guys and see how everybody's feeling about it, and also put out a lot of positivity. And part of that is the fact that I am releasing around 300 hours of UFO, ET, experiencer, interdimensional footage from the Portal to Ascension archive. And you can go on youtube.com/Portal to Ascension right now and see some of the premieres that are set up, just to get an idea of what's happening. Every single day of this month and next month, it's going to be some great content putting out there, just giving you another facet, dynamic of this phenomena. Some examples here: UFOs in the world today, so UFO sightings, case studies; ancient advanced technology of the gods, right, and the Anunnaki and the extraterrestrial connection; crop circle sacred geometry and theories on where they came from; different extraterrestrial races and their history; unacknowledged advanced reverse engineered ET technology and UAPs, a 2.5 hour presentation showing you a lot of these craft that actually have been made by governing organizations over the last decades, and showing you their blueprints and everything. Like, this is all out there, right? We've been doing this for a while now. So we're going to release this footage just to inform people really about what's happening, because it doesn't seem like they want to tell us the entire truth. And then, like, for example, tour of Roswell with museum, with interview with Paula Harris, Clifford Stone; 2 extraterrestrial experiencer conferences, 8 hours a day of testimonies from experiencers and their contact with extraterrestrials; ancient civilization stories of star beings; sacred geometry conference; multidimensional evidence of extraterrestrial activity; research study on UFO contactees. Let's see what else here. We got UFO sightings, research, and testimony of ET experiences; different ways of contacting and communicating with ETs; UFOs in Antarctica and secret space program revealed. So go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Portal to Ascension. Subscribe there, click the notification bell if you're compelled to do so, and just be inundated with some awesome, beautiful UFO ET related content over the next couple of months, because we just want to keep putting out this positivity out there. It's not about this fear. It's not about unidentified aerial threats. It's about understanding the depth and the vastness of our connection to the cosmos, who we are, where we came from, and our ancestry to these beings, because we're actually intricately connected to many of our star family that have an invested interest in our own evolution. And when this information comes out there, when the truth of all this comes out there, oh my God, man, it is changing the world. And I'm excited for it.
Yeah, totally. It's going to totally change the world. And, like I've always said, we have to know where we came from in order for us to know where we're headed. And this artificial amnesia that's been placed onto us, we need to lift it and really learn where we came from. Because look at the past civilizations that's happened to them: Lemuria, Atlantis, all destroyed. Now, do we want to be, another relic in the past, or do we want to continue to come back, reincarnate on this world, and enjoy different human experiences and really evolve ourselves to the higher dimensional state that we are from? And so we have to lift this amnesia that we're in, and when we do, it's going to be it's going to be grand. It's like the third eye right here. It's just going to shine, and it's going to be you're going to be radiating with light once you really discover who you truly are. And that's what we need, because if we find out who we are, then there will be no shock with the extraterrestrials, because they're really, in a sense, we're extraterrestrials ourselves. So it won't be that much of a shock to the system. Yeah.
Yes, and there's so much to learn, so much to explore. So that's why we have all this footage out there, like from the ancient technology and advanced connection to the star beings, to modern stuff that's going on, to technology that can change the world. There's just a lot out there. So we're going to be going live 4 to 8 weeks. Next week, I'll probably have more of an understanding of exactly what we're going to do. Omar is going to be on again in a few weeks, and you should come back for that because he's making a big announcement of some project that he's doing with Watchers Talk. And Omar and I hopefully will be doing a lot more of these together. But yeah, so come back, check us out. Next week, we do have Alan Steinfeld, right? A lot of you probably know him too. He's been on many of our shows. So Alan's going to be my guest next week. And Omar, if you want to come on next week as well, then we
Yeah,
can have a
absolutely.
three-way
Love
discussion.
Alan. I
Okay.
just ordered his book, Making Contact. Just came out, so check that out on Amazon and prepare yourselves for the next show.
hmm So Alan and Omar will be both next week, 24 hours minus 1 hour from now. And then Grant Cameron will be on the week after that, and that's going to go deep. We're going to have a lot of questions. It might go over an hour, even maybe a couple of hours of just like a lot of information that we're going to be getting from him. Also talking about the experiencers, but it's going to continue to grow. We will definitely talk about and react to whatever's happening right now over the last week, like we just did. But then we're also going to be bringing in people that talk about the consciousness of what's occurring on the planet right now, and also what it really means is like, who are these beings? Where did they come from? Why are we being visited? Those are kind of questions that we want to address here, and it's kind of like a philosophical show, you know.
And and if people have news clippings or something like that from their own countries that are not available to us here in North America, maybe Neil, you can toss your email out there, and people can email you news clippings and things like that, UFO sightings, and we can
Great
really
idea.
dig deep into this and explore those that's happening in around the world.
If you guys out there send me content that we can keep the show going and just
We'll
keep
talk about
analyzing
it
this
for you.
stuff, that'll be really awesome, actually. So, info@portaltoascension.org. I just put it on the YouTube. If you're tuning in on Facebook or on Pilled, we're live on Pilled too. So, hey to all the Omar's people on there. If you want, on Twitch, we're on Twitch for the first time, guys.
Yeah.
Portal to Ascension on Twitch. So, hey, everybody on that as well. So send me content and we can go over your footage, and you can even, comment on it too. info@portal2ascension.org. And let's keep it as interactive as possible.
Yeah, people's disclosure, by the people, for the people, and
hmm
with the people.
Exactly.
So yeah, send us everything: news clippings, videos, MP4s, MP3s, radios, whatever you feel that when they're talking about this stuff and you want to look deeper into it, send it over, and I'm sure we'll dissect it and find out
hmm
what it is. Yeah,
And this show here is not, we know, it's an exploration of what we know so that we can find out more.
that's right.
You know what I'm saying? It's not like, yo, this is it. This is an
Yeah.
exploration of what is it so that we can all figure it out together. Because,
Yeah, it's a great idea. I love it.
yeah.
It's interactive, and you're right. It's like opening up rabbit holes that we've already opened up, and just going down those a little bit deeper with a clearer understanding of what we've just learned from all the other ones, and it just makes
hmm
it more fun and educational too, right? We all walk away with some new knowledge.
Exactly. All right. So let's close it up, Omar. But before
Cool,
I close
brother.
it up, why don't you tell everybody a bit about yourself and where they can find out more about you?
I'm Omar from the team Watchers Talk, and you can find me on YouTube under Watchers Talk, and you can go to my events website, projectionofview.com, and that's pretty much it. And I do a lot of work with Neil, and I'm sure you're going to see a lot more of me. And we're streaming. We have an event coming up on June 20th, 21st called Seed. We're going to be focusing on plant medicine and animal communication, which is being streamed to portaltoascension.org. So come check that out. That's a 2-day free event, and you can find tickets for that on my Facebook profile under Omar Faizi. Look that up, and see you there. It's a free event. If you're compelled to donate, please do so. But if not, then all the same, this is for everyone. It's our 7th birthday, six years down, 7th season coming up, and it's also the summer solstice. So we're really going to be celebrating the solstice and the earth and the plant medicine and the animals and this biosphere just in general. So yeah,
Yeah, I'm
see
looking
you
forward to
guys
that.
there.
And I'm going to be a presenter on that event as well. I'll be talking about my journey through life and the plant medicines that I found along the way and what kind of experiences are, just that kind of a general understanding of plant medicine and some science behind it. So that's going to be an amazing event. Seed and Omar can announce that again next week as well. And I just want to say, Higher Dimensions had said in the YouTube right here, everyone has a piece of the puzzle, and that's exactly it. And if we were to have another mission statement on Portal to Ascension, it would be subtitle "Everyone has a piece of the puzzle," because
Yeah,
that's what it's really about, is that
yeah,
community, and realizing that it's not about someone learning and presenting to the other person. It's about discussion and debating of ideas and us figuring it out together, because we don't have complete remembrance of our past lives. We don't remember our existences. We have some sort of amnesia on this planet, so we're all adding and bringing back pieces to the puzzle, learning how to work together and provide our piece of the puzzle in the most non-reactory, in the most harmonious way possible, so that it could fit with the other pieces, and then we could figure out what the heck are we doing on this planet. You
yeah.
know?
Serve the whole.
Yeah, dude.
Serve the whole instead of the one, because when you serve the whole, the one's needs are already attended to. So,
Yeah.
really we have to work together as teammates, as brothers and as sisters, and that's the only way. We share this planet, people.
Yeah.
Love is the only vibration, and if we can all just come to terms with that, it would. What a beautiful existence it would be. Imagine the human experience if everybody was in love with everybody, and everything would be so amazing. It would be just
Yeah,
amazing.
and we need
Utopia.
to do the inner work in order to get to that place. It's
Yeah,
easier said
yeah.
than done, but
Oh
really we need
yeah,
to put in that energy and that work in order to like shift ourselves, so that we feel compassion just for existing on this planet, so that we can take care of the planet, because we kind of take care of the planet in the same way we take care of ourselves. We neglect ourselves. We, um,
yeah.
some people find it hard to even say I love myself, right? And are more likely to love others more than they can even love themselves.
Hmm.
So if we are a microcosm of the macrocosm, which is Earth, then aren't we doing that to our planet? A planet is
Yeah,
us,
yeah.
So
That's why we're
that's what it's all
destroying it.
about. Hmm.
That's why we're destroying it. One nuclear bomb a week for the last 75 years since Trinity. Do the math on it. 2056. Divide that by 75, and then divide that by 12, and divide that by 4, and then you'll come to find out that these guys have been blowing up a nuclear device on our planet once a week for the last
Yeah.
75 years. I'll say that again. Once a week, if you average it out, once a week for the past 75 years, they have been blowing up a nuclear bomb somewhere on this planet.
It's
That
trippy,
is
dude.
sick. That
Yeah,
is that
yeah.
is absolutely sick. It
And
really
it's we have the
disheartening.
solutions are in plain sight. We can talk forever, right? The solutions are in plain sight, because
Yeah,
1 month of military spending in the U.S. will cure world hunger for a year.
yeah.
It's like our priorities so much
That's
fair.
right.
There is no lack, there is no need for depopulation. Even
No,
there's more than enough for all of us. There's such an abundance of energy out there, and now we understand the quantum world. We're only moments away, years away even, from being able to manifest things from energy.
we can
Like,
turn deserts into jungles if we want, because now we
yeah,
understand how to take water from the atmosphere and you know nourish the desert and turn it into a crop field. We can do anything we want that we can set our minds to, because we are a magnificent race of people that just happen to be stuck in a rut right now,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that's all it is. And
Ooh,
that
well,
rut is just about
that's
out. We're
good. That's
almost
good.
out of that Kali Yuga,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we're almost out of that
Magnificent
time.
people, magnificent people just happen to be stuck in a rut right now.
Yeah, that's all it is,
That's
man.
good, dude. That's good. That should be a T-shirt or something.
Yeah, well, maybe make one into that. Make one into a
For
T-shirt and
sure.
put our
All right.
logos on it.
Okay, so let's close it out. All
All
right,
right, thanks,
everybody.
brother.
So thank you so much, everybody, for being a part of the first Disclosure Agenda episode. We'll be back next week, Omar, myself, and Alan Steinfeld, for episode 2. Hello and welcome to everybody on the Portal to Ascension Radio. Please do go ahead and check out our podcast, Portal to Ascension Radio. We have about 60 episodes so far on there, some amazing content, and going to be putting out a lot of ET UFO stuff in the next 2 months, but it's really about everything. So thank you all. Appreciate you. This is Neil from Portal to Ascension. Over and out. Take care, everyone.